Hi everyone, Mochismo Eugene. Welcome to another video from Exit Strategy. Please like, subscribe, share. Give the video a thumbs up if you found it helpful and useful to you, and pass it on if you believe someone else would benefit from it. I'd appreciate that. This video here, I want to truly capture the totality of why a narcissist will never love and care and appreciate you in the way that you really truly desire them to, in the way that you desire and want and yearn to love and appreciate them. It'll never happen. It is not on the Richter scale. It is not on their radar. I always am hopeful that there is one video that may capture the very depth and core of who a narcissist is, how they move, and how they're wired. And we're forever, ever hoping that that one video can do that. And I hope this one does that. You know, we're going to talk about object constancy. Object constancy, and I've talked about it before, and you know, I've just been doing a little bit of research on it, a little more in depth. On the surface, I understand these terminologies, although I've never went to school for psychology. I'll tell you one thing about chosen ones and empaths. Before we even awakened, it was our intuitive nature, our sponge-like ability and yearning and desire to want to know and understand things, even when they don't really line up with the general scheme of things in life. Even when we're in the matrix, and some of us, and myself as well, I'm always disconnecting from the matrix, because this is something that's been conditioned in us for our entire life. We tend to believe things that a person tells us, an empath chosen ones. We always, even though we went for certain things, we always had a corner of our mind that was skeptical. We didn't call people out. We went along to get along, but yet and still that intuition was there. So object constancy, I'm going to talk about, is why the narcissist cannot love, care, and appreciate you and grow with you the way that you want to with them. And they know this. They know this before you realize it. So I'm just going to read some stuff that, you know, I took notes in this situation here so that you can actually look into this yourself. Object constancy is object constancy refers to the ability to maintain an emotional bond with someone, even when, excuse me, even when experiencing anger, disappointment, or distance, and understanding that their absence doesn't mean abandonment. It's emotional equivalent of object permanency. So I'll just say OC and OP, object constancy and object permanency. The emotional equivalent of object permanency is the emotional equivalency of object permanency is object constancy. To be able to stay the course, essentially. So object permanency is the understanding that objects continue to exist even when they're out of sight. And this is why you'll find some people, and I'll stay right here for a moment. You'll find some people will take this to a whole new high. Because of that statement there, it says understanding that objects continue to exist even when they're out of sight. Let's say our family members, when they pass away, even though they're out of sight, they're in spirit. They're in our mind. They're in our they're in our conscious thought process. Even though we can't physically see them, we know that they have been laid to rest. We have them in spirit. We have them in our mind, in our consciousness. So that comforts us. Some people, when their loved one dies, they feel abandoned. And this is when they go on they go on a spiral, and sometimes spiral down. And in some cases, even empaths and chosen ones, we take the take the low road or the high road and begin to we spiral down, unfortunately. But God is always faithful, and he has his watchful eyes over chosen ones and empaths. And I hope you don't take that route. So that object constancy is the equivalent of object permanency. So development, object constancy develops around 2 to 3 years old. Okay, keep a pin in that. 2 to 3 years old is when this develops. As you've heard, in even many cases, I think some psychologists, even like I said, they have their place in this world. I don't denounce anything they're putting down. Like a video I said, a lot of things they won't touch on because some of them just have not experienced, and they study behavior. Behavior science is what psychology is really embedded in. But empaths awakened and abused by these people, we study more than behavior. We study an experience in conjunction with behavior. And so we're able to identify it going forward. So that emotional equivalency is object permanency. So this develops around 2 to 3 years of age alongside object permanency. So they work in unison, in a natural form with things. If these children are in an environment, or if the atmosphere warrants it. And so when you see a narcissist, that is an individual who was a child. And what happened is, for a number of things happened. They were abandoned. They were left unchecked or unsupervised or unloved for extended periods of time. And this is why in this day and time, when we give our children gifts like PS1s, 2s, 3s, whatever those games are, I've never played any of them. I'm a Nintendo guy back in the 70s and 80s. I gave that stuff up a long time ago. But to each his own. My whole bigger point is, when we give our children phones and gadgets and whatnot, and we expect that to mold and navigate them through this life, and we expect that to hold their attention, sometimes you not checking in and navigating, help them understanding that you need to spend time away from that phone. You need to take time off of Snapchat, Facebook and whatnot. And so this is why you'll have a child grows up, and when certain things are out of sight and out of mind, they fret, they panic, they feel abandoned, and they need something to fill that hole. And that hole, depending on what you fill it with, could be a whole bunch of manipulation, could be a whole lot of fantasy, escapism by way of drugs, other people, attention, adoration, adulation. Now, this is forming. This is what forms a narcissist. Instead of using that isolation time, or that time when they don't have that friend or their mother or their father around to work on them and just do things to occupy their time in a real healthy way. So abandoning this child, and a lot of times looking back, we believed, looking back, before we became aware of how this is formed, we too did that same thing. We left our children or friends unattended, and different things like that. In times, there were times, but it is more or less an extreme abandonment with this child, because when this child frets, there's no one there to comfort them. There's no one there to make sense out of this this panic that this child has. So this stuff contributes to, and many other things contribute, physical abuse, emotional abuse, psychological abuse towards the child. When your child begins their first day of kindergarten or Head Start, we've all seen this, and you tell them, get on the bus, Johnny. And Johnny is holding on to your leg, or Susan is holding on to your leg for dear life, and you got to pull them off like crazy glue or sticker. So they don't understand that you need to go to school mommy will be here, daddy will be here when you get out. You go with them for a little while and you're going to go to school and play with other kids. That doesn't register to that child, because that child, that's outside of their element. And what it is, every child experiences that. But a lot of us, we began to understand that mommy or daddy is going to not be in my presence for a while, but they will, in fact, be in my presence at some point or another. And so this child or children go on to understand that I can go in the other room and my child won't follow me all around the house. But we do have some children, and we know, you guys know, when your child was young, you almost had to carry it all in every room. I didn't experience that with my twins. They grew up pretty good, and I don't know. I hope that continues to be the case. I'm trying to educate them as to spend time by yourself, get to know yourself. And I just hope they can embrace it. But the thing is, with that object constancy, this is why a child or a narcissist cannot love you in the way that you need to be loved, in the way that you expect them to. They can't reciprocate what you're giving. So in 2-3 years of age, alongside object permanency, which is the understanding, object permanency here, which is understanding that objects continue to exist even when they are out, cannot be seen, heard, or touched. And so object permanency is understanding these objects will continue to exist. Object constancy, not on the other hand, in same form, refers to ability to maintain the emotional bond. So this is an emotional side. Object constancy is the emotional side of object permanency. Object permanency is understanding that the object or person will continue to exist. And so we're going to continue to go on here. And I got a little more here I want to read to you. And I said, this says, think of object constancy as emotional side, which I just spoke of, got ahead of myself. Think of object constancy as emotional side of object permanency. It's the ability to maintain a positive view of a person. You heard what I said? It's the ability to maintain, hold a course of a positive view, a positive mindset of a person, even when you're feeling negative emotions. See, you have emotions that don't line up with how you see that person at that moment. But like they say, you don't throw that baby out with the bathwater. You don't start contemplating divorce because they forgot your sub sandwich, because they didn't wash their dishes. You know, even in some more extreme situations, whereas, you know, my first wife in my alcoholic state, I wrecked 2 of her cars, brand new cars. She had the new Trans Am, Pontiac Trans Am when I met her in '93. It was that brand new style. It was only maybe about 20 of them out, almost like the Dart Challenger or the Dart, whatever that is. Only a select people had those, and she bought this thing off of the showroom floor and paid way above sticker. But she had this car when I met her. She was a traveling nurse, and I wrecked this car running from the police. In the rear quarter panel, I'm surprised I didn't kill myself. They were pursuing me, and I'm drunk. And this was a 6-speed stick shift in the floor. Had the Viper alarm. This is back when the 90s, when they say, please back away, you're standing too close, Viper, Viper. And so all of this stuff was really cutting edge. And they were chasing me. And I averted through a mall, big mall parking lot. And you know, you have the big concrete form around these light posts that stands about 4 foot high. In case people bump them with their cars, you don't knock them over. And so what they did was they shined that light on the side of their car, and I had to audacity to look in my mirror in the inside, the rearview mirror, and that was a big mistake. It blinded me for that moment. So when I looked ahead, I got a glimpse of this pole right in front of me. So I veered, and I didn't hit it head on. The rear right, I think, the hip of the rear quarter panel, right near the right tire. It smashed it and crushed it, and that's a whole piece. So they had to about $10,000 worth of damage. So what I'm getting at is, this was almost one of a kind car. This was I really want to capture this, guys. This was a reason that you would have thought someone would say, "Man, this guy's bad news. I need to separate and get away from him. He has a severe alcohol problem." And he just ruined my car that I paid $40,000-$50,000 for. I don't know what she paid for it, but it was way above sticker. And so she didn't even ever mention divorce or anything like that. So this would seem that it would be object constancy in her favor. And on the flip side of that, say she didn't give me money to go out and buy alcohol on any given night, I would just leave her for something as petty as that. And this is what narcissists do. They skip, hop, and jump around when things don't meet their desired end. And so, yeah, they fixed that car, and I ended up wrecking another new car. But those are stories in and of itself. I thank God that I'm 20-something years sober, because who knows where I would be right now. And I will talk about the first wife in some points in the video in the future, I think, because as I grow in this and educate myself, I do look back, and I have mentioned at times about almost, if not all, of the relationships, with the exception of maybe one or two puppy love relationships when I was younger. And that's because they were so short-lived that I can't really readily reflect on whether there was narcissistic personality disorder in their DNA. But going back as far as the first wife and everything in between leading up to this point, I'm discovering that most, if not all, of the people that I was involved with were narcissists or had some cluster B personality trait. And so here I am. So again, back to what I was trying to get at. Think of object constancy as an emotional side of object permanency, which is the ability to maintain a positive view of a person, even when your feelings, negative emotion, which is why I talked about that, towards them, or when they're not physically present. Now, I went beyond, even when the person, when you're feeling negative emotions toward them, I superimposed when you do things so bad to the point where they have justifiable reason to bounce, and they don't. That's for one of many reasons. They could just love you. They could care about you. They could just, if it's a narcissist, they would seem forgiving in some cases. That's just so they can pulverize you. You may be a good grade supply. They will hang in there with you. You can do dumb stuff, make mistakes. They will call you out on them every time, but they will maintain that union with you because they need you for something. You are valuable in some way, shape, or form. You're serving their purpose. And so, when you're negative emotion towards when you're not feeling physically present. Now, in healthy relationships, object constancy is crucial for forming and maintaining healthy relationships. Object constancy, this is crucial for maintaining healthy relationships as it allows individuals to navigate disagreements and temporary separations without feeling disconnected or abandoned. So this object constancy is crucial, not only in forming, but maintaining. Narcissists can't maintain it because they can't form this. They don't form this. See, it's never formed. They can't form a meaningful relationship with you because everything they're forming in their mind is they are all about me. But as the relationship gets a little more comfortable with one another, you got to go to work. They're like, where you going? To work. And so they will forget you got a job. They will forget that you have to leave and go do certain things. It's like a little kid. This is how we must look at them because they are maladaptive. That's why they're disordered. This is one of the many ways is why they're disordered. They are disordered way before you met them. And so emotional stability contributes. When you're stable in your emotions, you're able to control this knee-jerk, impulsive, where you going? You'd be like, oh, you going to work? Okay. You see, you're able to not only just say that, but you have a sense of calm. You understand, they got to go to work. They got to pay bills. Got to take care of you, freeloader, narcissist. Who else going to take care of you? You got all these fake elements that you just mysteriously formed. You didn't have them when I met you. And this is what they'll do. They'll just squat. They'll become squatters. You'll meet them. They be vibrant, and all this good stuff. And all of a sudden they got 10 or 15 ailments. I've seen relationships like this. And the person who's caring for them has no idea that they're being duped. And so, because they manipulate you, they play the victim card. And see, empaths, that's the suggestive nature right there. You have an insurmountable amount of empathy. And if you don't navigate your empathy and guard it in a healthy way, it will be taken advantage of. That was another part of what I wanted to talk about in this segment, but I won't. So just remember, even going to church, you're trying to seek a spiritual guidance, a spiritual way in life to better yourself, to ask God's intercession in your life, and then you're met with a whole bunch of narcissists trying to hug up and fill up on you. Take your time. If you decide to go to church, you sit in the back of that church. When people push up on you, as I said before, you keep a stoic stare, respectful. And you say, hey, how are you doing? And they want to push up and hug, and say, I don't hug. And they'll look for you to say something like that. And they'll continue to become fixated on that and massage you until the point where they get you to start hugging 2-3 days later. And to a narcissist, that's their whole pet peeve. If you say up, they're gonna make sure they're gonna get you to go down. If you say left, they're gonna try to manipulate you to go right. And when you go right, in their warped little pea brain, they feel a sense of that control. That's a slam dunk. If they can get you to renege on anything, then they'll throw it in your face. I thought you say you don't hug. And this is the shit show they play with you. So emotional stability, it contributes to emotional stability, the object constancy, by fostering a sense of security and trust in relationships, even when they are challenges. Okay, let me repeat that. Emotional stability contributes to object constancy. It contributes to emotional stability by fostering a sense of security and trust in relationships, even when there are challenges or distance. How do you overcome fear of abandonment, or overcoming fear of abandonment with this emotional stability? Emotional stability helps individuals overcome the fear of abandonment. Emotional stability. How do you exercise emotional stability? Just like I said, you're exercising it by accepting instead of rejecting. Accept that mama is going to come back, or I'm going to come home to mom from school. But this is to be taught in children from very, very early on and help them understand and navigate. It's just a temporary disconnect, kids. And so overcoming this with object constancy, it helps individuals overcome the fear of abandonment by understanding that loved ones remain present even when they are not physically nearby. And an example of that is a child understanding, like I said, a parent will return when they leave the room. So this is a video. It ran a little bit long. I kind of was repetitive on purpose. This is why a narcissist will never, ever love you, care, or appreciate you in the way that you desire them to. So you're holding your breath, and in many ways, you will suffocate yourself waiting for these things to become a reality. That being said, bless.